It's not looking good for Donald Trump. His health is crashing before our eyes. How much longer is this going to last? He looks absolutely horrible. These are real photos of Donald Trump. This photo taken May 20th, 2026. This photo taken a few days before that. This photo taken yesterday. These are real photos of him. He can't walk in a straight line. He struggles to get from Marine One to Air Force One. This should be a top story because his health is gone, in my opinion. I don't know how else to describe it. He falls asleep constantly when he's on camera. He can't stay alert. And then he has these manic episodes like yesterday where he gave that awful speech in New York where he started telling the audience how he uncovered that the word dumb actually has a B in it. And most people don't know that. They just think it's D-U-M. So he just calls them Democrats, but there's really a B, but he removed the B. He then talks about, I took this cognitive test in front of 5 doctors and I passed this exam. Yeah, it's a MOCA test. It's a Montreal Cognitive Assessment for people with early onset of dementia. That's not something to brag about. And then he goes on and he talks about how good looking the men are around him. And he starts making noises like, and then he threatens war against Iran. Then he goes radio silent and people are like, were we going to be at war? Where's Donald? Where's Donald? He's like passed out somewhere. And so let me just show you what went down here at the speech. He says, Democrat, it's not a, where's the B? And people don't know there's a B in the word dumb. Play this clip.
Thank you. And I watched what he was saying and what the horrible things he was saying. And I said, he's a dumb guy. I said, wait a minute, he's a Democrat. That's how I got the name. You take the E out, you don't use the B. A lot of people don't know dumb has a B in it, actually. You don't need it. You discard the B. But you take the E out and you replace it with a U. They're dumb. They are Democrats. You know why? Because their policies are dumb. Their policies are very dumb. All of that policies.
Then he brags about cognitive exams again and that they're so tough and that it's elephant and horse. And you have to point out what the horse is. Here, I'll show you this.
Them pretty hard. By the time you get to the end, there are not a lot of people in the room can get them, believe me. I said, well, it will be public, won't it? It'll be embarrassment, but let's do it. This was in my first term. I took it and I aced it. And they had tough questions. So the first question was, you have a bear, a snake, an elephant, and a horse. Name the horse. That's the horse.
Then he talks about how Howard Lutnick is good looking and handsome, but not as handsome as the New York Giants quarterback Jackson. And Jackson's more handsome, but Lutnick is also handsome. What is going on with this guy? How is what I'm saying real? Here, play this clip.
Because the money we're being made. Is that right, Mr. Lutnick? Secretary of Commerce is here. Looks good, looks handsome, reasonably. He doesn't look like Jackson. I'd rather look like Jackson. I'll take Jackson any day.
Then he tells this story about something about pharmacies are going out of business because of duffel bags, and Howard Lutnick is a rich guy and you're rich, Howard. What? Here, play this clip.
Where the pharmacies, they're going out of business. They have glass all over the place. You want toothpaste. You have to open up, you have to get a clerk to open up the thing, and they open and they hand them a toothpaste. And in the meantime, other people are waiting to steal it. They got a guy, they were saying a guy right here, Mr. Lutnick said, Mr. Lutnick, he's a rich guy, but he was in a store. And he noticed when he was in a drugstore, the people were with duffel bags. They're putting crap in a duffel bag and walking. And the clerk says, you're not supposed to be doing that. And the kid said, the hell with you, walks out. And if the clerk does anything at all, they arrest the clerk.
Then Donald Trump says, I took more on the cognitive exams. Don't you want me to be smart? Let's play it.
And don't you want to have a smart person as president? Yeah, you want to have a smart person. In fact, I took the cognitive test. I'm the only one, you know.
He talks about cognitive exams during his first term. I'll show you what he says here.
And what happened, that was in my first term, and that quieted people down. That was good. And then what happened, I did it twice in my second term. So I've taken it, and I've aced it all 3 times, I'll tell you, because it is a positive thing, you know, positive. Nice to be smart. But remember, I said...
And then he starts making those noises where he goes, I'll show you this.
And the mother's screaming, come on, darling, I love you so much. Mom, I love you. I love you. And she couldn't do it. Boom, it dropped. And then
he talks about his very fat friend. I'll show you this.
And a friend of mine who's very fat called me. He said, President, he's crude as hell. He's crude and very smart, highly neurotic. We all know people like that, very smart, but highly neurotic. And he was in London, and he's a rich guy, made a lot of money, but he knows the cost of medicine that he takes, probably more than that he takes, this guy. He's begging me not to tell his name because he's actually become quite famous. I tell the story often. So he calls me up, he goes, President, he used to call me Donnie. Donnie! Now he calls me, Mr. President. He said, President, I'm in London. I just paid $87 for the fat drug. He said, it's a fat shot. I said, what is it, Ozempic? He said, I don't know what the hell it is. It's supposed to. I said, it's not working on you, Charles.
Then he says, I don't mind being called a brilliant tyrant dictator, but I don't like being called dumb. Okay, what are you even talking about, man? Seriously, this guy needs to have a straitjacket put on him. I'll show you what he says. Let's play this clip.
He's a dumb person. I said, Doctor, I don't mind being called a brilliant, total tyrant dictator, but I don't want to be called dumb. What do I do, doctor? Is there some kind of a test I can take? He said, actually, sir, there is. It's a cognitive test. I said, how many presidents have taken it? None. You know this story. No people have taken it.
Now, folks, even Alex Jones and Marjorie Taylor Greene are like, this guy is cooked. This guy is fried. This guy is done. And they know him better than just about anybody. Here's what they have to say. Let's play this clip.
He's saying is megalomaniacal as he's gotten, maybe with frontal lobe dementia like his dad had, where he acts normal most of the time but doesn't make good decisions. This is definitely a different Trump. 79, almost 80. I mean, I think he's cooked. I mean, my grandfather, my mom's dad, was an incredible guy, smartest guy I ever knew. But he had a heart attack, had surgery, had a stroke, and he lived a year or so more. And I mean, he was like a bad 3-year-old. Okay, and I had to go over and help my grandmother. She'd call me all the time. I don't want to call the fire department again. We'd come over and help, and I'd drive over there almost every couple days. And we finally had to put him in a nursing home, and he died right after that. But my point is, my grandfather was the man he was before. I don't see that last year as my grandfather. I think it's the same thing with Trump. Whatever it is, his brain's fried.
Yeah, this is a sad thing that happens to people as they age into their final years. And I'm no medical expert or doctor, but that could be what's going on. Unfortunately, they would lie to us, and they'll tell us he's in perfect health. Although we know for a fact that someone that never sleeps or sleeps 3 to 4 to 5 hours a night, well, that's the unhealthiest thing you can do, especially as you're approaching 80 years old.
Donald Trump's last post of the night, and then he just kind of went radio silent after posting some of the most deranged things. He posts this video of himself and this AI video of him and Colbert. Like, this is what you're posting? Here, play this clip. Then earlier in the day, where he did that Oval Office press conference, he said that we control the Strait of Hormuz, but we need Iran to open it. We control it. We have full access. But Iran, you need to open it. Nothing that this guy says makes sense. Here, let's play it.
We have total control of the Strait of Hormuz, as you know, with our blockade. The blockade's been 100% effective. Nobody's been able to get through.
How do you want things to end up with the Strait of Hormuz, though? Would you like them to have...
Well, we want it open. We want it free. We don't want tolls. It's international. It's an international waterway. They're not charging tolls.
Then he talks about how he knows math, and when he takes these cognitive exams, he multiplies numbers and he divides them by 2 and he adds 1,324 and he subtracts. What are you talking about? Here, play this clip.
So the New York Times does a story to show the test that I just aced, and they only used the first question. They didn't go into the other questions. They didn't go in. But toward the end, like they had a question like, pick a number, sir, any number. Okay, 203. Multiply times 9. Divide by 2. Add on 1,324. Subtract 1,292. Sir, multiply it out one more time by 19. What is the answer, sir? And I got it right. You know? And the one doctor said, I've been doing this test for 20 years. I've never seen anybody ace it. So then what happened?
Then he talks about refrigerant and what his views about refrigerant are. I'll show you what he says about refrigerant here. Let's play this clip.
There's nothing wrong with the refrigerant other than sometimes it makes your food too cold. Its alternative costs about twice as much and it doesn't cool your food at all. Everyone that has it practically has gone bankrupt because their food has rotted. So we ended the anti-refrigerant movement in this country.
And then when he's asked about, are you going to your son's wedding? He's like, he'd like me to go, but I said, this is not good timing. I've known them for a long time. Yeah, he's your son. Let's play it.
Your son's wedding this weekend, by the way?
He'd like me to go, but it's going to be just a small little private affair, and I'm going to try and make it. I'm in the midst. I said, you know, this is not good timing for me. I have a thing called Iran and other things. That's one I can't win on. If I do attend, I get killed. If I don't attend, I get killed. By the fake news, of course, I'm talking about. No, but he's got a very person who I've known for a long time, and hopefully they're going to have a great marriage.
Mr. President, to add to the argument, I just actually passed by them.
And then finally he finishes up by saying he doesn't like being around successful people. I'll show you this.
No, what'd he get? You know, I have a friend, he's very good politically, but he has a test. He owns like stores, little stores. He's not super rich. In fact, he's not even rich. But he makes a living, as the expression goes. But I knew him a long time. I like to keep my old friends. I like to do really much better than them. I don't like friends that become very successful. I like people that are just okay. Even if they're terrible, I like that too. I hate, like when I have lunch with somebody that's really, really successful, I hate it. Because he or she is bragging about how great they are, and I hate that when they do that. Because they stop me from talking about the fact that I became president.
And then here's what Mary Trump, his niece, had to say about him and how Alzheimer's runs in the family. Let's play it.
Yes, he's nodding off. And of course, his increasing lack of impulse control and inability to understand what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. I'm also equally concerned about his psychological deterioration. As you know, just for very obvious and definitional reasons, I've never diagnosed him, but he is increasingly meeting many of the criteria for the assessments of the Harris psychopathy checklist. Mm. And I just, like any other untreated disorder or illness, you don't get better. Yeah. Your psychiatric disorders don't just magically go away. And what we see with, again, his poor physical health, his clear cognitive decline, and his psychological deterioration is somebody who is under enormous amounts of stress, who lives a very unhealthy lifestyle, who doesn't get enough sleep, who eats poorly, et cetera, et cetera. And this is just going to lead us to a point where he is either incapacitated which, and I'm not saying this in a flippant way at all, would be the better of the two outcomes, or he continues down this extremely dangerous path when he is putting our country and the world at risk to protect his ego. I mean, that's kind of where we are right now.
Yeah.
And I think all of it together is a perfect storm of potential horror.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. And thanks for watching, everybody. Come on. Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the MeidasTouch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.